Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahavityam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. So, in Yoga Sutra, in the first chapter, Samadhi Pada, the 20th Sutra, talks about how perfection in yoga or the accomplishment of samadhi, both are same. Yoge samadhi. Yoga, the meaning is samadhi. As per the yoga darshana, it is not union, it is samadhi, 1 point. Okay. Yoga as union in the sense of integrated body, mind, prana, intellect. That definition also exists elsewhere in the Shastra, but in Yoga Sutra, in Yoga Darshana, yoga means samadhi. Samadhi means one-pointed mind. The mind that is absolutely still. That is the yogic state of mind. Okay. So, how one can keep the mind in the yogic way, in samadhi? For that, there are some other upayas given, and he says there are people who are capable of samadhi by birth itself. There are some special kind of births, some those who have done sadhanas in the past birth, etc. Videhas, prakritilayas, etc. He talks about, and then after that, for the common people, for others who are not naturally endowed with the capacity for samadhi, how one can bring about. So that is where the choice comes, where we are not a complete slave of our destiny. Right? So we are born with a set of given things like our karmas, our mental limitations, emotions, our tendencies that gets us into various structures of attachments, etc. But what we are born with puts us in a certain position of advantage or disadvantage with respect to acquiring certain traits and success or failure in various domains of our life with the world, etc. But all of us, irrespective of how our destiny is, all of us, irrespective of the qualities of the body, the mind, the social status, good luck, bad luck. In some things, some are endowed better. In some other things, the same person is not endowed that well. Some people seem to be more lucky, some people less lucky. Some people seem to be spiritually more lucky, but financially less lucky. Some people are financially very lucky, spiritually very poor. Intellectually, some are highly qualified and who are, they have a natural excellence for intellectual achievements, but they're terrible in sports, like all the jokes about nerds in the TV series that we see. Some are physically very powerful, but they are complete dullards. The stuff can't enter their head. So there are that some people are artistic, etc. Right? So no matter how you are, in terms of body, mind, social position, etc., you have a choice to master the mind. That is what the sutra means. Okay? You have a choice to rise above your cognitive limitations and arrive at that natural state of what you are. Free yourself from wrong identifications, free yourself from the limitations of the mind, and realize your true nature as the free spirit, the Purusha, the consciousness. Yoga Darshana calls it Purusha. If you want to use the same yoga as a sadhana, as an accessory for Vedanta, you can say realize your truth as Brahman. So, depending on the context with which we refer to the consciousness, based on the darshana, the worldview, we can talk about the nature of consciousness. So, me being a Vedantin, I'd say each one of us have the potential to get our mind ready, to free ourselves from the clutches of the mind, untie the knots of the mind, untie the knot we have with the mind, the knot between me and the mind and the system. How I am stuck with the system, external system, internal system. Right? The unholy union that causes afflictions and slavery to patterns, klesha and the karma. What is that unholy union? The union between the power of consciousness and the power of cognition. Drug darshana shaktayaha. Right? That is to be avoided. It says Heyam Dukkam Anagatam in all the sutras. In Patanjali Yoga Sutra, he talks about it. So before going to all that abstract thing, right? This sutra says how samadhi is possible. So, in one word, I will put that the readiness for liberation, the readiness of the mind for liberation, is the mind capable of samadhi. In other words, it is called as chitta shuddhi or purity of mind. In other words, a yogic mind. Success in yoga, the mind endowed with the quality of yoga, which is ekagrata, one pointedness, or niruddha, complete withdrawal, right, is possible for every one of us, irrespective of our background and the given birth conditions. How is it done? He talks about the 5 steps in which it happens. Shraddha, which is usually translated as faith, but here I would put it as a commitment born of understanding with complete trust in the system pending discovery. Commitment born of understanding that translates into total trust and surrender to the system, to the teaching, pending discovery. It is a trust pending discovery, like a child trusting the mother. And there are milestones that encourage the Shraddha, right? With Shraddha allows you to gather your energies and commit yourself to a process. And as a result, one gets enthusiastic as one sees the result. You see that yoga is working, the process is working. And then the Shraddha gets reinforced and it manifests as an enthusiasm to be more devoted to the practice. That is called Virya. Virya is also gathering of all the faculties, all the energies of the mind, gathering of the cognitive energy. In the sense, cognitively, we are all scattered usually. Lot of little commitments here and there. Sometimes one commitment is contradictory to another commitment, and we try to manage both. And then we have advice from some spiritual middle class, middle age spiritual uncle who says, see, you can manage spiritual life and worldly life at the same time. One does not have to run away. One doesn't have to do. You can do everything while you are in a family life. Like that, we have standard grihastha advice. And then you are eternally in conflict. Right? So all these confusing teachings and our likes and dislikes, and the situational compulsions. Like that, we have a totally scattered power of commitment. You consider this power of commitment as your wealth. Okay, it's like a investment. You have the, it's a power. It's an inner power, and that power is scattered to so many things. So it is not enough to gather strength. It is not able to gather enough strength to bring about a certain integrity and an intensity in the mind that is required for inquiry. I will come to inquiries. After I finish the 5 points, I will come to inquiry. Inquiry into anything, let alone inquiry into self. The capacity for inquiry. So the one-pointed mind, which is the yogic mind, is nothing but a mind that is capable of intense inquiry to the true nature of things. Viveka nimnam chittam. Chitta that is driven by viveka. It is the buddhi that is in viveka. So viveka khyati, it's called. Sri J. Krishnamurti used to call it as the flame of attention. Viveka khyati. Now, with Shraddha, when one undertakes and submits oneself to the process of yoga, one sees some results, and as one sees results, experienceable, verifiable results, one improves the enthusiasm. Naturally, one gets more enthusiastic and more motivated, right? And commits oneself more into practice. So this Shraddha leads to Virya. Virya is also gathering of the scattered cognitive power. The commitments, it's scattered everywhere. It's all gathered together. And you are able to gather all your energies for one pursuit. You will see that suddenly your system is more available. It happens in our everyday life also. When we love something very much, or when you are in love, romantic love, or when you are very enthusiastic about getting something, buying something that you have been waiting for a long time. I remember when that Harry Potter came, or when, even today, the new iPhone released, there are people waiting in queue, kilometers of queue for getting the first release, grabbing that gadget. So you know that it is there, it is released, you are eagerly waiting for it, and then you are going to buy it. I hear that this happens. I have no clue how it feels, but I can see that people are very excited. Same thing happened for Harry Potter. The parents were standing in queue for kilometers in queue, so that when the shop opens, they can go and grab a copy before it is all gone for the kids. And also some teens, they were all waiting. The next volume of Harry Potter released. It was a huge craze. I don't know if that still happens. Things. Probably the Gen Z, I heard, are very wise now, so they are not so worked up with everything like the previous generations. So they are more chill about everything. That's what I hear. So in that case, it is very good for yoga, so that you can be intensely available for what truly matters, because they're constantly digging for meaningfulness. So when you are not going behind meaningless stuff and frivolous stuff, you are available for what's more meaningful. So gathering of all this scattered cognitive energies for the pursuit, that is virya, and that results in what is called smriti. Smriti is availability of the mind. Gathering first comes devotion at the practical level, in the action level, asana pranayama, swadhyaya, of all that, Ishvara pranidhana and all that, and that gives you certain some experiences which improves your commitment, and then your energies are gathered, and that results in the mind becoming naturally interested. This is what is called as the love of yoga, the love of the divine, bhakti, the smriti here can also be understood as a kind of a bhakti. What we experience in spurts during our everyday life, like this, eagerly waiting to buy something that we like, or when you are meeting to meet a person, or when you are in a romantic love, these kind of moments, or when you are hungry, when you do ekadashi fasting, for example, you do a fasting for 24 hours or 36 hours, after 16 or 17 hours, all you want to think about is only food. Whatever you think about, mind will go naturally to food. So, love of food. Now, there are people who have this natural love towards various things according to one's conditioning and habit and all that. There are people who amass, you know, uh, 20 pairs, 30 pairs, 40, 50 pairs of shoes. So there are different craze that I have, right? So this love, we all experience love. We all experience love, complete gathering of the mental energies in one direction, right? That is smriti. Like Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa gives an example. How does a true devotee live in the world? He lives like a woman who is in love. A woman who is in love, she is doing all the activities in the house and in her office or whatever. What she is doing everything mechanically, but in the background, she is constantly thinking about her love. Smriti, right? So this smriti comes up where the mind can't wait to get back to meditation, get back to the sadhana, and to get back to the experience of samadhi. So the mind, there is a natural love for one pointedness and withdrawal, and a natural love for stillness. There is a natural love of stillness. Yeah? Like how a normal mind is bored and looks for activity. Somebody is bored. Why are they bored? Because they are looking for activity, looking for some stimulation, but the objects are not present. The boredom is nothing but a mind wanting an object but not having the object. That is boredom. It's like a state of cognitive dissipation. That's called boredom. But a yogi is never bored. The more the person gets rid of things, the happier the person is, because the mind is more available for stillness. And there is this love of stillness. That is what I would call as smriti. And when this smriti becomes good, then one is able to arrive at the state of samadhi. When one sits for meditation, one is able to arrive at the stillness and sustain that stillness and arrive at what we call as bhumika. There are various levels of accomplishment that Shastra talks about. What we can say is that you are able to sustain the stillness because of Shraddha, Virya, and from there, development of Smriti, you are able to sustain the stillness, and you are able to sustain the cognitive commitment, where you are able to engage and keep your intellect in one pursuit. And what happens? That results in what is called prajna. Prajna here, it means viveka, the power of viveka, the shining, the power that shines in the state of pure sattva in the mind that is pure, in the state of chitta shuddhi. There is a certain natural awareness of reality. There is a natural consciousness of reality, reality consciousness. Just like how a dissipated person is given to subjectivity and illusory and delusory consciousness. A normal person is always in delusion and subjectivity. What we call as a normal person, a non-yogic mind, is always in delusion and subjectivity. Every situation we are able to see only based on how we are conditioned towards that situation. That leads to likes and dislikes and all that, and leads to more karma. But what happens is, when a mind when prajna is awakened in the mind, the viveka khyati is awakened in the mind, the person is able to naturally see things as they are. The natural ability to see things as they are, that is called prajna. You see external things as they are, and you also see the internal experience as it is, which means you see yourself as clearly separate from the doer. You can see that you are not the doer. You can see that you are not the one who goes to sleep and wakes up, goes into dream, goes to sleep, goes into dream, comes out, goes back to sleep, and then wakes up. This entire process is happening not for you. You are not the one who sleeps and wakes up. Now, that is what I am talking about as prajna. Those who have experienced will understand it. If you have not experienced, it doesn't matter. That gives a huge level of spontaneous free sense of freedom in the background, where no situation can enslave you. No situation in life, no situation in the mind can enslave you. So this freedom awakens at a very, very fundamental level of existence in our consciousness, in our sense of self. At a very, very fundamental sense of self, this power of discrimination called viveka, it awakens. It's called prajna. Clear distinction from what I am not. Okay. With all this, a person gets established in samadhi. Now, who is this person who is established in samadhi? Is nothing but a person who is capable of absolutely intense, uncompromising focus that is not in conflict free, intense capacity to inquire into the nature of oneself, into the nature of anything, and to the nature of oneself. Right? Sanyama, Yoga Shastra calls it Sanyama, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, Sanyama. But this mind that is capable of inquiry has to have this quality of samadhi. Otherwise, one cannot inquire. Because if we actually look at ourselves, all that we do is usually blind action driven by second-hand knowledge. There are probably very, very few things each one of us have that we can call as our own knowledge, that we arrived at purely by our own inquiry. Have you ever experienced this, that you not working on any borrowed knowledge, but purely with the power of your cognitive power, the power of your intrinsic understanding, ability to understand, like how we all have it actually. We have it as a child when we are a baby, how we learn the language, how we learn various things, how to do certain things, we explore. A baby explores with absolute intense, pure curiosity and then starts forming the various conclusions. I'm not telling that we should not use our accumulated knowledge. What I'm trying to say is our accumulated knowledge, though it is practically useful, it should not become our cage. It should not become our cognitive jail that prevents us from being able to conduct a fresh, original inquiry into something. It's so difficult. The more you study, the more we interact with things, the more likes and dislikes we develop. Loka vasana, Vishaya vasana, Shastra vasana, all these vasanas and samskaras, and all the desire and fear and everything. We are never able to approach a situation or an object of experience with pure cognitive inquiry. with the total availability of my intellect and my mind to see what it is, what is here, to see that, to inquire into the true nature of something, to understand something fresh with no cognitive overload from the past, to understand something absolutely fresh purely with the power of my ability to inquire, using the mind that is completely available for inquiry in freedom from all the baggage. How much are we able to do that? Have we even ever tried that? No? So this is extremely important for liberation. This is extremely important if we want to taste what is freedom and what is enlightenment and what we are actually capable of as a human being. Otherwise, using accumulated knowledge to gather some wealth, to gather some pleasures, and to be able to chase pleasures and grab the pleasures successfully, and to and to be able to do virtuous deeds and refrain from non-virtuous deeds, dharma, artha, kama, all that we are able to do with accumulated knowledge. And then there are moments when the second-hand knowledge is not enough. There are situations in life where our second-hand borrowed knowledge is not enough. It demands fresh understanding of something. That's where we see that those people who are original thinkers, they become the thought leaders, where they are able to inquire into something afresh. And then they arrive with a genuine insight that guides humanity for a long time. Those who give that their own first school of philosophy, things like that. So they internalize, they inquire into something. Probably they use a system that is all right initially, but if you see something that is totally original, that brings in a very revolutionary perspective and addresses an issue at a very deep and a complete integral level, you see, behind that will be a person who had applied this power of fresh inquiry free from baggage. Okay, so this is what a mind prajna is capable of. A mind that has prajna awakened in it is capable of inquiring afresh into a phenomenon. This capacity gradually can be used also to inquire into the nature of self and inquire into the and to realize the meaning of the Mahavakyas given in Vedanta, and really be available to solve the fundamental problem of existence. Now, that cannot be solved with borrowed knowledge. This is where the problem comes. Your borrowed knowledge is fantastic as long as you are going to, doing your job, as long as you are gathering some wealth, as long as you are finding some, chasing and acquire and enjoying some pleasures, and to, and to somehow while away your lifespan. Somehow you while away your lifespan. I heard an old man recently. I was spending some time with an old man, and he was telling, okay, we got married somehow, 55 years, somehow we successfully completed. OTH. OTH means, we somehow drove the 55 years successfully. This is how we live. Somehow you drove the 55 years. It struck a spark in my head. I was like, wow. And then I was just seeing how, the life goes on. You anyway live, right? But it's like the current of the river is carrying you. And while the current of the river is carrying you, you are, flapping your hands and legs and all that, trying to swim, You don't have to swim. All you have to do is to stay afloat. The current is carrying. But still you think that you are going to do something about it. Similarly, like Sri Ramana Maharshi says, the train is carrying you and your luggage. It's a very powerful train. It's carrying all that. Anyway, the train is carrying you and your luggage. So you want to carry the luggage in your head. Why are you carrying the luggage in your head? Just put it down. It is the train which is carrying both of you. On top of that, why you want to add your baggage, your personal baggage? Whether you carry it or not does not matter to your journey. Then just put it down, right? He talks about surrender. He gives this example like this: the current of life goes on, and in that while the current carries us forward, somehow the life will go on. But in the middle of that, we are having all our struggle and interaction with the life in a way that increases the sense of burden that we experience. Why I am telling the sense of burden? Because in reality, there is no burden. You are not carrying anything, but you are under an illusion that you are carrying some responsibilities. You are under the illusion that you are carrying some burden, and you are suffering and you are enjoying and all that. So this is all just identification and with the system and creation of the false sense of self on which all these things are imposed, and then you feel like as though you are you as though you are struggling and going through the difficulties and the good times, the bad times, and all that. Now, this is the fundamental problem of existence, right? To go to the root of it, the mind has to be totally, completely available, and for that to go into inquire into the falseness of this, second-hand knowledge won't help. No matter how many scriptures we read, no matter how many satsang we attend, all that will not help unless I am able to conduct a pure, original, fresh inquiry into the way of my functional being and into the way in which I live my life. Unless I am able to inquire into the way in which I am relating to things, and starting from there, gradually going into my very fundamental way of being. Unless I am able to awaken that fresh original inquiry, this original inquiry might result from all the satsanga, attending to all the satsangs and attending to the discourses, studying the Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita and everything, the Yoga Shastra, practicing the techniques. All that can help peripherally in making myself withdraw from all the compulsions and making myself capable of awakening this power of original inquiry. So that is the job of the teacher. The job of the teacher must not be to create donkeys. No, Shraddha is something that allows us to submit to the system of discipline and to the submit to the discipline of, to the system of study. And Shraddha is something that allows us to question ourselves. Shraddha is something that allows us to question what we consider as our reality. Now we are totally stuck in what we consider as our reality. We don't question that. But Shraddha in the teacher, in the tradition, in the system, makes us available to question our reality, to deconstruct our ego, to inquire into the validity of our various ego structures and complexes, to look at ourselves through the mirror of teaching, which actually translates into original inquiry. The right teaching will awaken the original inquiry and make us free from the shackles of secondary knowledge. Not all the time driven by secondary knowledge, but secondary knowledge must translate into understanding and samskara, smriti, prajna. It should translate into that. Virya, smriti, and prajna. And then the capacity to inquire afresh, originally, with this naturally present power of cognition, naturally present power of viveka that is already there. This fire, this lamp, this light of viveka is already there in us. What the system helps us, the entire system of yoga and all the study and everything, dharma, yoga and everything, helps us to arrive at this, helps us to remove all the obstacles to the inner light and helps us to arrive at this natural light that is already present in us, and for us to be able to shine that light on various things, to understand things as they are, and to understand ourselves as they are, as we are, right? So that capacity to the teaching should bring us to this light. The teaching is not to make you a donkey that carries, that a donkey might carry a huge load of uh, torn clothing, designer clothing. It can carry a huge load of firewood, or it can carry a bag full of diamonds. It doesn't matter. The donkey just carries, you know. So Shraddha here does not mean you become a devotee and you are stuck, and what we usually call as donkeys is, you are always busy following instructions like a slave. The Shraddha should not lead to donkeyhood. So do not become a donkey to a guru or a donkey to a system or tradition. Don't become the donkey of the tradition, but allow allow your Shraddha, let the Shraddha we have help us to become free and become available to the light that is our true nature, the light that is already there in the mind. The Shraddha must help us to free from all the unnecessary things and make ourselves available to what truly matters, and make us available to the presence of this light, and make us available and capable to conduct a original inquiry. So Shraddha is not to make donkeys, but is a discipline that allows us to awaken to the light, to become available to the light. Okay. So Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna. So these are the 5 levels in which a person attains that perfection of the mind that allows true inquiry into the nature of things. So remember this as a takeaway from our discussion today, that what truly matters, what gives real knowledge, the knowledge that liberates, is a ability to conduct a pure, intense, original inquiry into the nature of something. Awakening and sustaining this ability and living our life, various situations, facing the various situations of life in this light, and making a habit. We can do it like a thought experiment in very simple things. You want to do, you just sit quietly and you take up a concept or an issue about yourself. you know you look at your mind, the way the mind runs behind things. You will be thinking of some things, you will be having an attitude towards things, and you will might be having some compulsion to do some things. So question your intention is, you can take up an intention, a naturally arising intention or an urge, and inquire into the source of it and see, why are you feeling this way towards that? Why are you motivated for something? You are motivated for something. Question the truth of your motivation. It can be a good thing or a bad thing, and then you say that, oh, I consider this as a good thing and that is a bad thing. By what premise do I do that? Have you ever inquired into the validity of your own conclusions about the most important things in life, what you consider as the most important things in life? You have certain conclusions about it. So are we able to awaken the questioning into the validity of the conclusions? Have you ever tried that? When you try that, you will see, when you really want to understand something without using any second hand knowledge, with pure curiosity, you will see that it is so difficult to have an inquiry that is free from condition, that is free from the weight of memory, and that is free from the weight of external compulsions and the second hand knowledge that we have accumulated. To be free of all that and try to be totally available for the reality of something, it's extremely difficult. And that is where the process of yoga is required. So think about this, importance of this, and try it out, and then let me know the various difficulties that you face, and then we can see how we can address those difficulties. Okay, we have a question here. how to address lack of emotions, specifically karuna, towards situations where it is required. Now, this kindness, karuna, is a value. It is good that you see a situation requires me to be compassionate, but I don't feel compassion. What to do? Don't bother. Don't bother. Don't artificially bring about compassion. Karuna, as a deliberate practice, is for clearing the mind of disgust or a dislike. Okay. Maitri Karuna Mudita Upekshanam Sukha Dukha Punya Apunya Vishayanam Bhavanatah Chitta Prasadanam. That when somebody is suffering, it creates a certain natural feeling in the mind. Okay. So you don't want to be part of it, or you don't want to get into trouble, or you know, sometimes you get compassion, sometimes you don't. You don't want to, you don't want to confront that. You want to turn your face away. No, 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 I don't want to see. So instead of that, what Patanjali says is, instead of that constricting emotion, if you bring about the feelings of compassion and empathy and karuna, the kindness, if you bring about the emotion of kindness, it is an expansive emotion, a sattvic emotion. So that is better for developing a sattvic quality of mind. So in that context, it is asked to practice. But if you have no, if you have no emotions, one cannot bring about compassion. So what you have to see is, you have to see uh, the general, your general attitude towards things. It can be because of so many reasons. Uh, it can also be the result of one not being available for the situation. You might be having your own problems. Sometimes when a person is overwhelmed by their own issues, their own emotional issues, they are not emotionally available for others. So one has to be emotionally okay in order to feel compassion for others. So when your mind becomes more and more sattvic, when you are not wallowing in tamasic emotions yourself, when your level of tamas comes down, when your self obsession, when your self obsession, too much importance of me and mine, I and mine and my things, and that grabbing attitude for uh, keeping grabbing and keeping what we like and getting rid of what we don't like, and trying to sustain what cannot be sustained. So in this kind of emotions, when we are totally busy egoistically with our own stuff and our own drama, personal drama, especially I will put the word that I use often, when we are very busy in our own personal drama, we are not available for a situation. Our emotions are not available for a situation, so it becomes impossible to bring karuna. So what we have to see is, we have to see why I do not have karuna. That is how you address the lack of karuna, the lack of anything, any valid value or emotion or a positive feeling that is required for a situation. When it is lacking, the only way to address is to understand the source of it, why I am not available. So if I am not available for this, where else am I available? What am I available for? See, I am not having compassion in the situation which requires compassion, but instead of having compassion, how am I feeling now? How am I right now? Is there anything else I am feeling, or any other thoughts I am having? Where is my mind going towards? What thoughts I am having? So you have to look at the natural state of mind that you have at that time. Just observe it, not judge yourself, but just to observe yourself, just to observe your mind, to observe your emotions, how you're actually feeling. This situation usually requires compassion. You are supposed to be compassionate. That's what everybody says. But this is how I am feeling. You just become conscious of how you are feeling. That's all. And you are recognizing that there is no compassion. This is enough. And then you are inquiring into, instead of compassion, what you are having right now. And you are trying to become aware of that. And you see why you are having that instead of compassion. You discuss that, you think about that. When you make it a habit, then you will see what is blocking the compassion. And you can take the steps to address what is blocking the compassion. And when the block is cleared, compassion will automatically flow. Karuna will automatically flow. It is like an emotion is like a water going in a channel. No? When you are irrigating a field through various small water channels, right? From the canal through various different water channels, the field gets irrigated. And one area the water is not going. It's not going because there is a block. How do you make the water flow? You don't have to make the water flow. The water will anyway flow. All you have to do is to remove the block. When you remove the block, the water flows. In the same way, karuna is natural in a sattvic mind. So there must be some rajas or tamas blocking the karuna. You have to identify what is the rajas or the tamas. And once we address that, then when that knot of the mind, when the granthi, that knot is removed, the flow of karuna for situations that dharmically deserve karuna, that karuna will automatically. We cannot fake, they say you can't fake it and make it. That is also one way. That will work at the action level. If I am compassionate, you can do that, you can try that, but that will not solve your problem at the fundamental level. But that is an additional practice that can help you to supplement the inquiry that I talked about right now. In addition to the inquiry, what you can also do is, okay, in this situation, a kind person generally, according to the normal standards, would do this. Your common sense tells you. And I am in the right situation, Desha Kala Patra, that person, this situation or the person deserves the compassionate action. I am in the right situation to execute that compassionate action, and I do have the resources. And that is not at the cost of my own welfare or my own well being. I can totally do that. Then, what an intelligent and compassionate person would do in this situation? Or in a similar situation, what a saintly person did. When we read about the lives of saints and saintly people, when we read about their life, we know how they have acted in various situations. And then we try to emulate a similar kind of a behavior in that situation that deserves compassion. And we do what a compassionate person would do and make it a habit. I am not feeling compassion for situations that deserve compassion. So, what I'm going to do, while I'm inquiring into what is blocking my compassion, I am also going to get busy acting in a way that a compassionate person would act in that situation. So, combination of both will clear the situation, clear the blocks that are there in the emotion. Both ways, when we address it, both in action and in inquiry, it will clear the block. This rule does not apply only to karuna. It also applies to all the legitimate positive emotions that we need to be, that are good for manifesting in our everyday life. Okay. So I hope I answered your question. So is there any other question here? No, nothing yet. Right. Let me see if somebody sent me in WhatsApp. So there are no more questions. Getting back to the topic of the day, conducting a fresh, original inquiry, the ability to conduct a fresh, original. It can also be made into a habit. See, until we attain that mind that is shining with prajna and viveka, what we talked about. It is not going to happen in many of us, it will not happen in one lifetime. But does it mean that we have to be a donkey all our life? No. We have to make it a habit to internalize what we have studied. Like we have a concept in Vedanta called Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. In Nididhyasana, it's nothing but making the truth your own. For example, there is a story. There is a very cute story from the life of King Janaka. King Janaka was considered as a Videha, means a person who was naturally capable of samadhi by birth, and he was not identified with his body and all that. So he wanted to realize Brahman. So he got this mantra, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. So he was sitting by the banks of the river and doing chanting of this mantra, Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. This secondary knowledge. There was his to be guru, future guru, sage Ashtavakra. So he came and sat nearby somewhere, like 2 meters away. He had his kamandalu, his water pot, and his staff, that stick. Because he had some handicap, physical handicap, he had to walk with stick. So danda, he had a stick, a staff. So he came and sat there. Our king was very busy chanting, I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. And then this master, Ashtavakra, he started shouting loud, this is my water pot, this is my staff, this is my water pot, this is my staff. And the king got annoyed and he looked at him. He wanted to yell at him, but then, it was some kind of a very sage, saintly person sitting there. He said, okay, I don't want to yell at a saintly person. In movies we see what happens when you yell at a saintly, you disturb a saintly person, they take the water from that pot and curse you. So that threat is always there. So he just moved ahead and sat a little away and started his practice. I am Brahman, I am Brahman, I am Brahman. And then our sage Ashtavakra, our master, he's like these Zen masters. He's always, doing a lot of radical stuff. So he went and sat again next to the king and started chanting, this is my water pot, this is my staff, this is my water pot, this is my staff. And the king couldn't take it anymore. And he said, he fell at the feet of this master. Master, nobody is denying the fact that this is your water pot, this is your staff. I am the king of this land. I am very confident about my people. This is a very dharmic, righteous land. There is no theft and all that happening here. So please don't worry. This is your pot, water pot. This is your staff. Nobody is denying that. Why are you yelling that? Then the master talked back. Who is denying the fact that you are Brahman? So why are you constantly repeating you are Brahman, you are Brahman? You are Brahman. You just understand and you just be. You don't have to keep repeating it. You have to just understand it. Yeah. So that's what it means, Nididhyatana. So when we make our inquiry, original inquiry, that awakens as a result of proper study, even of secondary knowledge. How to make the secondary knowledge my own original knowledge is use the knowledge that we gather from outside as a pointer to awaken the correct kind of inquiry, the original inquiry in the correct direction. Awakening the original inquiry in the right direction is the purpose of all the study that we do. And do not be a donkey. Instead of that, commit to the discipline of inquiry and awaken the power of true inquiry and arrive at originally realized true knowledge of reality of the world, of situations, and of yourself. Okay. So with that, I will complete the class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Thank you.